There are new developments in the story we first brought you here on America Reports as calls grow for a fresh investigation into the assassination attempt of President Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. They follow a bombshell report from the New York Post's Miranda Devine, who suggests the feds have been holding back important information about accused gunman Thomas Crooks, his online trail, and potential co-conspirators.
There's no reason now why Senator Ron Johnson has had to subpoena the current FBI under Director Kash Patel for more information about Thomas Crooks, about the autopsy, about other forensic evidence and documents, and none of that's been forthcoming.
Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson joins us now. What do you make of what Miranda Devine has uncovered?
I can't make much of it because I haven't seen the documents. They have been provided to us by either the FBI or the Department of Justice. I'll be meeting with the Attorney General later this afternoon. This will certainly be one of the topics we're going to be bringing up.
Take a look at what happened.
Sorry, we had a little bit of sound there coming from the former from the president from the former campaign. The FBI senator painted a picture of a would-be assassin in Thomas Crooks who was basically an unknown. And yet we're finding out so much more about him via Miranda's reporting. Listen here.
Of what we've been able to find so far, a lot of the usual repositories of information have not yielded anything notable in terms of motive or like ideology.
We were sort of led to believe that Thomas Crooks was really a ghost, that there was no motive that could be ascertained from his online accounts. And yet a source has provided us with a lot of information from 17 different online accounts that Thomas Crooks had. He was pro-Trump. And then in January of 2020, he flipped 180 degrees.
Contrast to what you heard from the former FBI director, who basically said, we don't know much about this guy, his ideology, his reasoning for wanting to try to assassinate the president. And yet there seems to be a wealth of information that's available out there, Senator.
My guess is there is. We've obviously subpoenaed, and I viewed that as a friendly subpoena to the FBI for information that they knew about Thomas Crooks. We have reached out to the carriers, different social media companies. We expect their full cooperation as well. This has really taken way too long. It's been enormously frustrating to me and my staff trying to get to the bottom of this. I'm glad that there are obviously some whistleblowers that are providing the news media some information. That's very common. Whistleblowers feel they can be protected better through a reporter than they can sometimes coming to Congress. So we really work cooperatively, quite honestly, with the inquisitive investigative journalists who get information. Then we have the authority to obtain information off of those leads as well. So again, we're trying to piece this all together. I think the American people have every right to understand exactly what happened and who Thomas Crooks was.
You know, the former Assistant FBI Director Chris Wacker was on Fox earlier today. He had nothing kind to say about the FBI and its investigation of Thomas Crooks. Listen here.
I wouldn't trust the previous iteration of the FBI and the Biden administration to not hide their own mistakes and not be proactive when it comes to Donald Trump and getting out there and trying to intervene and intercede and if something were showing up on the internet that was a threat to Donald Trump.
So did you have trust in the FBI under the Biden administration? And then further to that, I mean, there's a new administration, new leadership of the FBI. Why haven't we heard more about this since January?
The people under the Obama and the Biden administrations, I view most of those individuals involved in these high-profile cases as criminals. What they did to this country, the interference in our election, the false flag operations they put up, again, it makes Watergate pale in comparison, and Russia and China could only hope to achieve the kind of destruction they did to our political processes some of those characters did. So no, I didn't trust them at all. I cannot really speak. As I said, I'm going to be meeting with the Attorney General later this afternoon. I'm not quite sure what's happening inside the current FBI and Department of Justice. I mean, I don't doubt for a second there remain partisans burrowed in, trying to frustrate every attempt, certainly not coming forward and volunteering information. I mean, the fact that some of this evidence was recovered out of a burn bag out of a skiff,
Yeah.
first of all, indicates how many documents have already been destroyed. Now, people do wrong; they don't leave evidence laying around. So I'm highly concerned about a lot of relevant and incriminating documents already having been destroyed, and certainly not help from a lot of the deep staters in these agencies to try and get to the truth out, to help Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. So again, I've got a great deal of sympathy with those two individuals. They're trying to clean up a lot of messes left behind by the Biden administration.
All right, we'll check back with you, Senator, after you have your meeting with the Attorney General later on today. Appreciate your time for now, sir.
Have a good day.
All right, thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.